This episode is brought to you by Elite SRS, an incredible company based out of the Northwest that we are proud to announce our partnership with on the AIM podcast. If you guys have not checked them out already, you need to do so right now. Not only do they make incredible premium, high quality, and affordable jump ropes, but they stand for something as a brand that's so much bigger. Their mantra is do hard things, and so is a perfect fit for the Ambition in Mind podcast to partner with Elite SRS. And I personally love their jump rope. During a marathon prep, I've actually had jump rope be incorporated in my training, and I use their jump rope every single week. So get out there, check them out, and make sure you do hard things with ambition in mind. Don, thank you so much for jumping on the AIM podcast.
Hey, how's it going, Doug? Appreciate you
Good,
having
man.
me on.
Good. Before we dive into this, I just want to thank you for your service, man. You're an inspiration, man. And all the things you've done, which I'm sure we'll talk about a lot. I just thank you so much for all you've done.
Yeah, thank you for that.
It
Appreciate it.
means a lot. You got a really cool thing behind you. What's that picture right behind you to your left shoulder?
This one?
Yeah, that one.
Oh, it's one of or some of my friends. They were old recon guys and SARCs in the military. They started this art company called We the Collective. So this piece specifically was for a nonprofit organization that me and my partner was running. It was called the Marine Raider Challenge. It was where a whole bunch of veteran and active duty special operations guys got together and they competed. And we did this huge event. It was like a 12-mile, or I'm sorry, it was a 2-mile swim, 12-mile ruck, which is hiking with the pack on. And then we did a pool workout, incorporated some of the deep end fitness, my company stuff. And then we did a CrossFit workout on the field. And we raised like over $90,000 for whatever organization the team won. So
Wow.
it's called the Marine Raider Challenge. But that year, actually, two Green Beret guys won. So they came in that outdid us. But yeah, it's a cool event, man. It was
That
awesome.
is epic, dude. Yeah, that's amazing. I want to learn more a lot of kind of about your start to getting into all this. Like I'd love to hear kind of the background of, you getting into the military, what that looked like and kind of how that all went down.
Yeah. So it's a pretty long story, but we'll go simple and we'll keep it short. But I went straight out of high school. I got in a lot of trouble in high school, was mixed in with gangs and stealing a whole bunch of cars, clothes, and stuff. So I went to juvie for a little bit. So I knew I needed kind of an escape to get it out of that reality. So I ended up joining the Marine Corps. It was I was 17 at the time, and then it was in 2006. So joined the military, and yeah, man, for a big change. So I did 4 years in the infantry, went over Iraq twice, and then I went over to special operations and did a deployment to Afghanistan, to the Philippines, went to Australia with them. So
Now you've done some pretty epic things, for our military and been in some very special and high up places. Like when you joined kind of the basic level of the military and got your first kind of your feet wet with it, did you envision yourself kind of excelling and climbing through the ranks, or is that just something that kind of happened over time, just a byproduct of your skill set and hard work?
thanks, Steve. But I definitely think it was not planned whatsoever. For the first 4 years, I was like, hey, what am I, I got to get out of my comfort zone. I got to get out of a place where I was doing bad things for the wrong reasons. And then when I joined, I did the infantry. I was like, hey, this is an amazing community of people working together for a common goal. But I knew that I wanted to do something else. And there was a lot of bureaucracy and a lot of red tape in the regular infantry. So I knew that I had a skill set. I knew that I had the smarts and the decision making process to do something better, to do something bigger with my time. So that's when I tried out for something different, which was special operations. So
Dude, that's so cool. And now, was fitness kind of a big part of your life growing up, or is that something you think kind of stemmed from your training in the military that's kind of set you up for what you do now?
yeah, I think it's a combination of both. So growing up in high school, I played soccer when I was a kid, and then in high school I played soccer, track, and I played badminton too. I don't know if you know what that is, but
I do. That's a fun
uh,
game.
and then when I joined the military, I had a basic level of fitness already, but I was by no means the most fit person in my boot camp class or anything like that. But as I was, the more you're involved in the military, like being physically fit is 50% of the battle.
For sure.
If you're in shape, you can do your job. And most of your job has to do with fitness anyways. If you can get to where you need to go in the right amount of time, then you're already winning. And there's so many standards within the military to make sure that you stay physically fit. That way you could do your job. And then as I was training, getting ready for special operations, that's when I was like, hey, I need to perform at a specific level higher than everyone else that I was already with. So that was like, hey, what do I need to do? Worked at the pool for a little bit where I started my company at, but um, all that was like encompassing of like an overall well-rounded athlete instead of just being extremely strong or extremely fast or the best swimmer. It needed to incorporate all those kind of key aspects to be like a jack of all trades, master of none in the fitness kind of realm.
For sure. No, I love that. Yeah. Well, you touched on it, man. I want to hear more kind of about this, the creation of Deep End Fitness, what that is for all the listeners kind of out there that are wondering, and then, and kind of what sparked that? Like, how did you even go about starting that whole business?
Yeah. So I met my partner I started the company with at Marine Special Operations Assessment and Selection. So it was at the time like a month long tryout period of how well you can do and perform under pressure. How physically fit are you? Are you capable of doing the job? So we both got selected. And when I got back to my regular infantry unit, they're like, hey, do you want to go on the deployment with them, which was going over what we call a Westpac at the time, on a Navy ship and float around the Pacific, go to the Philippines and all these other places. And I felt like I didn't want to do that. I wanted to go back to the fight, coming back from Iraq, 2 deployments in a row. So I was like, hey, I want to go back to where the next fight is. So I was like, hey, I want to take my first chance to go to special operations school, and then get my radar name and then go and deploy. Right. So within that process, it was like an 8-month waiting period to the next school slot. So my partner at Prime was like, hey, do you want to come work at me with the pool where he was working at? So he was already a water survival instructor there, invited me over. So I got a job at the pool working there for like 8-9 months, which is like probably the best time in the military because you're just working out all day, training people in the water, and then getting off by like 2-3 p.m. So that was awesome. But there we had like an old jailhouse like weight set by the side of the pool. So we incorporated the pool workouts, jailhouse kind of like lifting workouts, like CrossFit kind of workouts. And we had all the hills in Camp Pendleton running up and down. So that was like the combination of like, hey, I want to be the most well-rounded athlete, putting everything together. Fast forward, I went over to become a water survival instructor and then went over to Marine Special Operations. But we saw like how well we performed at the school because we had all this different types of ability to train at a pool every day. It made us so much better of an athlete, physically and mentally, because like the pool is like a huge equalizer for a lot of people.
For sure.
Even though you're the strongest or the fastest, when you're thrown in water and you're told to hold your breath underwater, that could be extremely frightening for people. And sometimes it still is, for me too, but yeah. So when we were transitioning out of Afghanistan in special operations, going back into the Pacific of like the Philippines, Singapore missions and all that stuff like that, guys had to get ready and train in the water again to get ready for the dive missions and the amphibious and all the water missions. So we used this game, what we called underwater football at the time, which was that toy torpedo we played with. And we put like 2 kettlebells down at the deep end of like a 15-foot pool or whatever that is. Like, hey, the goal is to hold on to the torpedo and hold on to the kettlebell for 3 seconds while people are just roughing you up underwater,
Jeez.
yeah. And Navy SEALs play it, like recon guys played it, and Navy divers and stuff like that played it. So fast forward, did those deployments to the Pacific, and then got out in 2018 or whatever. And we're like, hey, what do we want to do with our future? So we were like, hey, we can explore some security contracting stuff, which a lot of special operations guys go to afterwards because it's like it's a good pay. And you're doing a similar job set, so you're not really trying anything new. But we're like, hey, okay, let's explore that. Didn't really work out the way we wanted to. So then we're like, hey, what else do we love doing? So we love training people, we love the water, we love fitness, and we love bettering people. So we were like, yeah, let's start a company and take some of the things that really, when we were in the military, that we were missing. So like a lot of breath work, a lot of mental control is huge, right? In the military, they put you in a lot of like a sink or swim situation. So it's either you fail or you make it, and we don't want to kind of have that kind of aspect in our company. So we're like, hey, so we knew that a lot of like breath work is the key to understanding your mindset, right? Or your mental state, right? The faster you breathe, the higher your heart rate's going to accelerate, but the slower you breathe, the more conscious you are about your breath, the slower your mindset slows back down, the more calm you are, the better decisions you make, and the better you can analyze your surroundings. So we took that breath work was a huge portion of it. And then we always teach calm breeds calm. So when we put people in the pool now, we don't have that same sink or swim situation, but we teach people how to be calm, how to be confident in who they are, be confident in their abilities, and then kind of moving forward with that. So with that, we took what we knew, added some other new skill sets that we were learning at the time. And then we created the company Deep End Fitness, and then the sport, which is the Underwater Torpedo League now.
Dude, that's fascinating. That is truly fascinating.
Yeah, thanks, dude. But yeah, it's a crazy journey right now, and we're still figuring everything out. We're like 4.5 years in, yeah, it's going great. We're based out of Southern California, and we're trying to expand across the United States. We have a location in Las Vegas. We're opening one in Austin, Texas, in 2 weeks.
Wow.
So things are going good. Yeah.
Congrats on that, man. And I'm guessing, I'm assuming there's a pool involved with each location. Like how is it structured? Are you guys building these, or are you just kind of going in with different like pools that are already made?
Yep. Pools. Yeah. So we pretty much target community pools, like community college pools, high school pools, with a deep end. And we like to train around 12 to 13 feet. So when we look for pools, we just look for pools with diving boards. So that's like the deep enough pool for us to kind of train at. But similar to the CrossFit affiliate model, where someone comes and license out our brand, and then they run their own training program in their area. So currently we're at 6 licensees, and we're trying to hit maybe 20, 30 by the end of the year, and we'll see how it goes.
That's incredible, man. Well, congrats on all that success, and I'm excited to see how y'all continue to grow. In terms of like the mental side of this training, obviously there's a huge physical component. Like I'd love to hear more kind of what that looks like. You talk about helping people overcome their fear of water and kind of being in these different situations with high stress and fear. Like how do you help them overcome the mental side of things?
Yeah. Number one is we always teach people that they're in control. So for example, like in the pool, we're in a controlled environment, right? So in a pool, we always know that there's a side of the wall and always a bottom of the pool, right? So in any situations, if something were to happen, if you're on the bottom, then you can push off the bottom. If not, you need to understand the ability to swim to the side of the pool. And we teach people that process. But when we go underwater, right, there's a mammalian dive reflex that goes off and is like, hey, like slows your heart rate back down, but it also tells you, hey, I need the urgency of where's my air source? Where am I going to breathe from? So, and almost like we're staying down there long enough, your brain kind of goes through that cycle like, hey, I need to come up for air, or hey, am I in control enough to stay down here? So you're almost going through that fight or flight symptom every single time you go down underwater. But if you're calm and controlled in that situation, it's like, hey, I don't need to stress out. I don't need to freak out. I can, remain calm and then kind of make a decision or finish the things I need to do under there. So we take that, and with the same chemicals firing off in the same times, like if in our fight or flight situations, it can be equate to if we're in a stressful situations on land, whether we're in an argument with our significant other, or we're in a gunfight, or we're a firefighter about to go into a burning building, those same chemicals are firing off in the brains. But if we've dealt with it so many times in the pool already, then we're better conditioned to train, or we're better conditioned to go into that dangerous situation or that high stress environment with calmer nerves.
For sure. No, that makes a ton of sense. And it's cool. I think putting yourself in difficult situations and kind of just understanding the framework of how our mind truly works, I think is super valuable, especially, from someone like you who's had experience of probably being in the most stressful and chaotic situations. That, our military is amazing. And I think having that insight and being able to provide that to others is a really powerful thing.
Yeah, thanks, bro. Yeah, it's been awesome training people, to kind of seeing like a lot of people break so many mental barriers and physical barriers as well. But yeah, it's awesome.
You have one particular challenge that I'm just absolutely curious about, the 5 mile walk
Oh
underwater.
yeah.
Talk to me about that. I'd love to hear kind of the inspiration behind that challenge, where you even came up with that, and a little bit more about how that went.
Yeah. So 10,000, the company I work with, amazing brand, by the way, check them out. But they had this big series called the Feet of Strength series in 2020. Or actually it was in 2021. Yeah. 2021, where they had a whole bunch of different athletes do some amazing, crazy stuff. Like one of my favorite ones was my friend Mike that did 26 miles, so like a marathon distance. But he every single mile he changed up, whether it was a sled push, a fireman's carry, handstand walk, broad jump. Like that was
Mike's a
wild.
beast.
So I wanted to get in on this too. Like that's a big challenge for everyone to overcome or whatever it is. But I wanted my version of it. So my friend Kaj Larson, which is a Navy SEAL, huge waterman as well. We came up with ideas like, hey, let's see how far we can carry a rock underwater in the open ocean. So at first we were like training for 1 mile because we thought that 1 mile was a big feat already, but we started doing some training. We were like, hey, we could probably crush this mile in a pool in like 30 something minutes. So we're like, hey, met some of the owners of 10,000 are like, hey, we're going to jump it up and let's do 5 miles underwater. So the reason behind it was really number one was to promote get some visibility on Blue Force, Team Blue Force, which is a veteran organization that takes old Navy divers or special operations guys that have their dive qualifications and go out and cleans the oceans and help the ocean conservation mission. And then another one is we did it with a partner to kind of show that, when we're training and doing stuff underwater, we never want to do it alone. So we tag team it. So we didn't do 5 miles on our own. We did 2.5 each, which was awesome. But yeah, it took us like just around 6 hours to do it. But it was wild. Yeah.
So you're holding a rock, right? That's kind of ultimately what weighs you down throughout the walk.
Yeah. So we headed out to Waimea Bay. So like on the North Shore of Hawaii. And we're like, hey, let's go find a rock in the water. And then the North Shore lifeguards came up. We're like, hey, what are you guys doing in our bay right now? We're like, hey, we're about to try to walk 5 miles underwater. And if you know, like the North Shore lifeguards are like the best watermen in the world, and it was my friend Joey, shout out to Joey, but he gave us this rock that they were like, was made for like rock walks underwater. It was like perfectly held. So you can just hold it. It was 45 pounds. So that's what we held to hold and walk under there. But transitioning from like the pool, training in the pool, because in the pool we're doing with the dumbbell, kettlebell, whatever it is, and there's no current ripping you back and forth.
Yeah.
So in the ocean, it's like you're walking on sand instead of flat ground. So which is good to get your grip so you can dig your toes in. But like mile 3, my toes were like curling up and cramping the whole time. But yeah, it was good. It was definitely a challenge.
And as soon as you needed to take a break to get some air, you would just set the rock down and go up to the surface, get air, and then come back down.
Yep, exactly. So
wow,
the first leg we tried to do it across the bay, which was like, and like one of us was down there and then the other guy would swim on top of him. But we were like, holy shit, that was because you had no time for a break. You're swimming and like, okay, it's my turn to go down and pick it up. And this was like probably 12 to 18 feet, depending on what part of the bay we were at. So we kind of quickly changed that. So we started doing 50-meter legs. So hold the rock, walk for 50 meters, and then come up, and then we'll switch, and then he'll come back and would go back and forth for 50 meters.
That is insane, man. What is your max underwater breath hold? I'm just curious.
Last summer I was trying to hit 4 minutes, which I didn't hit. I got 3:37, but
oh my gosh,
I'm gonna try to do it 4 minutes this year for sure. Yeah.
Dude, you're insane. That's crazy.
That's actually not that much compared to some free divers out there. Those guys are awesome. Yeah.
That is wild, man. That's super cool, man. That is awesome. I'm excited because obviously I wanted to jump on here and kind of dive into your story. I think you've done some incredible things, obviously, that I wanted to talk about, but also we have an exciting partnership with Elite SRS where this month we are talking about doing hard things with ambition in mind. And you're going to be actually our first guest to kind of kick off this series. And so, there was no one better. You were the first person that came to mind when I thought about what it means to truly do hard things. And so I'd love to kind of jump into some topics surrounding that and hopefully provide some value to the listeners of ways they can kind of overcome some difficult seasons of their life and how to make the most of those opportunities.
Yeah, I would love to. Let's do it.
Let's kick things off, man. I want to kind of know more about what you think about when you hear do hard things, like what comes to mind? How do you define doing hard things? Just kind of setting the context for this part of the podcast.
Yeah, do hard things is breaking out of your comfort zone for sure. Doing things that you don't want to do, doing things that you're not comfortable doing, right? Yeah, and a lot of people are getting into like their comfort zone of whether that's something hard or not. So like a basketball player, if he plays basketball his whole life, that's his comfort zone. Then when he transitions out of the NBA or whatever that is, like that's going to be doing hard things, transitioning out, finding a new job, finding a new career. That's hard. But everybody has to go through hard things in their life, no matter what. But it's how much you lean into it and your perspective going into it. I think it's going to be the biggest thing, whether you are successful of doing the hard things or not.
100%. What, and even digging a little deeper there, because you make a great point. Like, why do you think these people in general, like I'm included in this group, like, why do you think people in general are fearful of adversity or hard things? Like, what is it about the comfortable life that makes it so that's so desirable?
I think the fear of failure, right, is nobody wants to fail. Everybody wants to continue to live like a good, comfortable life, but the risk factor is definitely one of the the things that can play into that. So um, yeah, I think people just want to be comfortable in what they're doing and succeed and win at maybe even small gains, but without risk, the gains are always smaller.
I agree. I agree. So, talking about your story, you kind of alluded to some things you've dealt with growing up that were probably really challenging. And then obviously throughout your military career, I'm sure you faced challenges. And then in business, I know there are challenges. So I'm sure you have a lot of awesome examples to bring up. But what are some of the hardest things that you personally have gone through that you would never take back because it was such a great opportunity for you to grow or learn?
Wow.
And you
I
can
mean,
talk about multiple if multiple come to mind, whatever, take it however you like.
yeah, and just like you said, at each stage of my life, there was an extremely difficult thing that you had to do. I mean, like when I was a kid or when I was going in high school, the biggest thing, the hardest thing to do was get out of that comfort zone or what I knew, and that was join the military. Because I knew I needed to change, and that was 100% going into the unknown. Because I had no idea what the military was going to be like, or what the environment was going to be, or what was I going to learn from it, or if I was going to go to war, and then or die and pass away. Like that was a huge moment. And then in the military, like transitioning from the regular infantry and going into special operation, that was a huge factor as well. Like the risk of the unknown, fear of failure. Like, hey, what if I don't make selection? What if I don't make this school? What if I don't make it? What are people going to think of me? What is my family going to think of me? So always that fear factor of being comfortable and then not doing the hard thing. But throughout all that, it's like my biggest fear was always like not being the best at something, not giving it 100% or not giving 110% to actually succeed at something I'm trying for. Because like you're never going to succeed at something you don't try at. So I think that was my biggest driving factor to kind of push me through, to take that big step to put myself in that hard situation and then coming out on top.
I love that. I think that makes a ton of sense. And what would you say were the biggest learnings or places of growth during those seasons? Like where did you see your life totally change or excel because you went through those things?
Um, Number one is like that your mind can go so much further than your body can, for sure.
Mm,
So like going through like extreme like training hardships or whatever that is, like hiking for a really long time, like extreme miles or whatever that is, like your mind can always push further than your body. So but your mind can also crash before, right? So it just like the limitations of your mind is so much more than what your body is. So if you train your mind to it, just like you train your body, like people go in the gym all the time and train their bodies, but you also need to train your mind as well through meditation, through breath work, through um, self-reflection. It's huge. And I think that a lot of people lack that nowadays, especially after the COVID and the pandemic and everything. And people are so in their minds, but not thinking about the right things, not working on their mental health is a huge thing. So leaving the military, I was going through a lot of hardships, so like kind of failure and like fault and guilt and all that stuff transitioning out of the military. But I was fortunate enough to have a good support system to kind of bounce back and face the hard things I needed to face, like mentally, or like within my own mind and within my own spirit, that I wasn't able to do while I was in the military because I was just so busy training, deploying, training, deploying, training, deploying. But when I got out, it was a huge transitional kind of space for me. And like leaving the military as well, like they prescribe you with so many different medications for like nightmares and like anxiety and all that stuff. And that kind of numbed me out. So I didn't know how to feel, but it was one of the hardest things was like getting off all this medication and like finding peace, finding meditation, finding natural remedies to kind of help you through the process. So that was a huge
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
No, that makes a ton of sense. One thing I think too that is pretty powerful, and it's just kind of like you talked about kind of practicing different ways to strengthen your mind. Obviously, you go to the gym, you can get fit, increase your strength in the gym, your muscles. But with your mind, I think there's got to be an element too of just
Yes.
embracing the tough situation, but like consciously deciding, making the choice that you're going to attack whatever you're dealing with head on. And instead of letting it come on to you and being a victim of the situation, saying, no, I'm going to attack this. I'm
Yeah.
going to put my best foot forward, and I'm going to, whatever happens, happens. Like, I know at the end of the day, I can control my outlook on life. I control my attitude. I can't control my external situation, but I'm going to get through it. And it's a choice.
Yeah. And that right there is your perspective on it, So like how you view the situation, how you view the hardship, that's 100% like up to you, how
Facts.
you view it. And that's going to determine your outcome.
100%. That's good, dude. Yeah, my next question is kind of like broadly speaking, like how would you advise someone, or what kind of things could you tell someone else that may be going through a difficult situation right now listening to this, that can't necessarily see the light at the end of the tunnel yet? Like you've been able to kind of endure some tough times and see the growth that you've gotten out of it. What would you tell someone if they're in the middle of it right now?
Yeah. Is find the process and then get small victories, right? It doesn't need to be like if you want to start a company and you want to be a public company or whatever that is, like you don't look at the end goal. You look at small, short goals. You look at obtainable goals that you can achieve every single day. Whether that's making a good habit, making a good ritual to read 15 minutes every day, or that's take another step. If you're going climbing a mountain, just one step, that's going to move you forward. And you got to celebrate those wins as well, because life is hard and things are always going to beat you down and you always might go a little bit back. But as long as you're moving forward and continue to move forward, one step at a day, when you look back, you're gonna be like, oh man, I've walked so far, I've climbed so far, and that's everything in your stock portfolio. That's in your gains in life. That's everything. So one step at a time, and then celebrate those small victories as you can.
Dude, small victories are so underrated.
Yeah, for
One
sure.
I truly believe it. And I think part of the problem, as I look at it, I think small victory, it's hard to see a lot of glamour, a lot of shine come from small victories. They don't make a big presence on social media. They're not flashy. Like, people probably won't give you massive, congratulations on a small victory. But at the end of the day, those are the difference makers that people neglect.
Yeah,
Like
small victory
stacking
with
those up.
consistency.
Yes,
Yeah, for sure.
dude, that's so good. No, I love that, man. And I think that's super helpful. And I think, that mindset, that framework, that consistency, and just loving yourself too during those moments. Like, I think that's huge too. And not forgetting that we're human. Like, life is going to be hard. Like, it wasn't meant to be easy, but with the
Yeah,
right mindset, with the right attitude, you can get through it.
yeah.
That's so good, man. What cool things do you have coming up? I know you kind of touched on, you guys are growing the business really well. Are there any other projects, challenges, things that are coming up you'd like to kind of shed light to?
Um, yeah, we're doing a lot. So we're starting for our UTL, our Underwater Torpedo League season. We're starting a new season in April. So if you're in Southern California, come check us out. And we're trying to get everything on Twitch or on YouTube TV or YouTube Live, so that way people can watch it and we can grow our fan base. For Deep End Fitness, the other company, we're doing a huge Memorial Day Murph workout where we're doing the Murph and then some runs that we'll post on the internet, and people can join us if they're in the Southern California and San Clemente. And then on August 27th, we're doing a Deep End Games, trying to similar vibes to the CrossFit Games, but incorporating a pool as well. So like some barbell stuff, some pull work, some dumbbell stuff. It should be a good time. But yeah, just trying to promote as much community as we can, get people active, get people outside of their comfort zone. So that's what we're all about. Come check us out.
I love that, dude. The deep end games actually sounds super interesting. Do you personally think that style of training can, I'm sure it already has grabbed a lot of people and got some attention, but do you think that's something that has the potential of becoming even bigger and kind of more recognized?
I definitely think so, man. And we have a pretty good roster of athletes and teams we train now, and we're super blessed to have them as part of our clientele. But I definitely do because our program is not just the physical aspect of swimming and lifting weights and stuff like that. It's a combination of that and that mental aspect that we were speaking of earlier, and all combined in one. So that's definitely something you can do to improve your mental game.
That's great. And what does your current training look like personally? Like, well, how do you normally break up your week with training?
Yeah, it just depends if I'm training for anything. So probably my next event is going to be another powerlifting meet in July at Barbell Brigade in one of my friends' gym. So I always do. I did one last year for fun, so that was a good time, and I saw my strength significantly rise following a specific program. So this year I'm gonna try to break 1,200 pounds in total. We'll see if that happens for the three big lifts. But besides that, running twice a week, and then the pool sessions that I train at, so 2-3 times a week at the pool.
That's awesome, man. I'm gonna have to make my way out to California to get some workouts in, dude. Your stuff looks awesome.
Yeah, thanks, brother. Or we can come out to you. We'll make something happen.
Hey, you're welcome to come out here anytime, man. Come
Yeah,
out to the East Coast. Let's do something.
yeah, let's do it.
Dude, this has been an amazing episode. Again, I can't thank you enough for all that you've done, not only for just this moment of us having this conversation, but for our country and just inspiring so many people and helping people in an amazing way. And I just really appreciate your time of getting on here to talking about doing hard things with ambition in mind.
Cool, man. Thanks for having me, dude. Stay
Let's
blessed.
go. Thank you, bro.